welcome to Living in a Powder Keg, which is my wonderful journey of menopause plus ADHD and how, yes, it does very much feel like living in a powder keg and giving off red hot sparks, in the words of one of my longtime heroes, Bonnie Tyler. So today I'm going to talk to you about all my meds, and I have to caveat, I am not a doctor, probably quite clear, so I'm not giving any advice, any medical advice whatsoever, but I have bounced around from doctor to doctor, and you don't know what you don't know, right? So I thought it might be helpful to talk you through my journey of prescriptions, because it has got me to a place today where I feel somewhat manageable in my journey of menopause and ADHD. So I have my laptop to help me with some of the more medical side of things, so I don't mess up. But as I said, I'm not here to give advice. I'm just here to tell you my experience. So please do Google anything I say, or more importantly, ask your doctor. So the first medication I will talk you through, and it's a little bit unrelated but also slightly not, is brand name Oroxine, and otherwise known as thyroxine. So I was prescribed this when we were trying for a kid, gosh, years ago, before I was doing IVF, and they do all the tests on you to see, can you conceive, will you have any problems? And I had hypothyroidism, which I had no idea I had. It causes tiredness, weight gain, sensitivity to the cold, and it wasn't until I started taking thyroxine that I realized how tired I had been. I was around my early 30s, and I just thought I was tired all the time, and that was normal. So touch wood, it is normally quite stable, and so I don't really have to worry about it too much. But when it's off, it's off. So if it's slow, I do notice that I am exhausted, sluggish is a word. I am carrying weight, like you just put on weight and you don't know why. And I have had it the other way round, and you are anxious as anything. So I kind of talk to it because, consulting my trusty Google, mothers of children with ADHD, according to a random study on the internet, were 29% more likely to have an autoimmune disease. So ADHD and autoimmune conditions are really common. So if you're feeling a bit off, it's just worth checking, because that's what I do every now and then. It's like, if things are a bit off, we just want to know that it either is the thyroid or it's not the thyroid, because the thyroid's really easy to fix. So stable for a time, and then we get to duloxetine. So this is an SNRI, or antidepressant. So as I descended into perimenopause, like many of us, just felt like I was losing the plot. I was crying all the time. I was shouting at the kids all the time. I was probably shouting at myself all the time, and I was bouncing around doctors trying to get them to believe that I was in perimenopause, even though my hormones looked fine. But also, no one would give me HRT because I still had an ovary left, and because of the BRCA gene, the risk to cancer was too high for anyone to be able to prescribe me anything. So I did find myself in an endocrinologist's office just crying, going, the only solution cannot just be to get my womb removed, which I was going to do. But yeah, the thought of being so, having no control over my emotions until I had an operation was just too much to bear, both personally and professionally. So She first prescribed me with something called escitalopram, which was an SSRI, but gosh, like, I don't think I was really depressed, emotionally unstable, maybe, but not depressed. It made my sleep terrible, my sex drive pretty much non-existent, and just made me more sad than I was in the first place. So then I moved to fluoxetine. I was on 60 milligrams. I am trying to take off. So I'm now at 30, and with the help of my psychologist, which I will talk to you about, we're trying to ease off this, but I might do this in another episode. It was a game changer when I first got it. It really took the edge off the anger and the kind of flipping the table moment. So I am very grateful to it. Also in the change and trying to manage all the different emotions and hormonal changes and just the whole shift going into surgical menopause. I wouldn't have been without it. As I said, I do want to shift out of it now, but it was amazing. Okay. Then we have Vyvanse. So what does the internet say about Vyvanse? It is lisdexamfetamine. It's a stimulant medication that is used for the treatment of ADHD in both children and adults. Beautiful. So the antidepressants, as I said, helped in that perimenopausal time where I felt like I just couldn't keep control of my rage. But as the estrogen was leaving the building, my ADHD symptoms, or the shit symptoms of ADHD, just were coming back with abundance. And I had got to the point, I had beaten those bad boys out of me, be that through shame or just sheer diligence. But they've been gone for ages. But I could, the thought of opening an email that I knew was a bill or something that required me to fill in a form, or, I had gone from being able to do 5 things at any one time really efficiently to not being able to just start. That eating the frog, couldn't even eat the frog, So I ended up spending a lot of money trying to get an ADHD diagnosis. And honestly, mostly in the first instance, it was for the kids, because I wanted them to, I always knew I had ADHD. I wanted them to know that I knew how they felt. And I wanted more information for myself to be also able to help support them in the best way possible. So that was why I went to it in the first place. But it's provided a lot more since then. And again, I might go into this in more detail separately, because it's not come with all roses. But I didn't go for medication as my main point. And I didn't think I needed it, but I got prescribed Vyvanse. And because things were so tough at the time, I thought, well, why not? I've got really nothing to lose right now. I may as well try it. And again, in the absence of HRT and with what I was dealing with, it was a game changer. So I had the SNRIs, which were managing the emotional instability. And then the Vyvanse just enabled all the noise to drop away, especially from a work perspective, and enable me to sit down and figure out how to put one foot in front of the other, how to open the email, how to refocus again, and just feel like the person I had been and able to perform at the same level that I had been, which we know is so important. We can't just stop working or stop being good at our job just because we've got menopause coming in. So again, at the time, super game changer. And I know a lot of people have got some kind of misgivings around ADHD medication, but I swear if I had the opportunity to have that as a child and things be just that little bit easier or school be just that little less harder, yeah, I mean, again, and like I said, it's a different, I'll dig into it separately because there's a lot of regret for me that came with the diagnosis of ADHD at 46 or 45 years old. You know, there's a lot of kind of like trauma with a little t that comes up, which I wasn't ready for at all. But as I said, like, I do not regret the medication on that side of things whatsoever. It was also prescribed dexamphetamine. What does the internet say? Stimulant again, but shorter acting. So initially, the psychiatrist I was seeing prescribed it for, say, if I had an early meeting or a late meeting, or, you know, when you need to focus outside of 9 to 5 and you need to extend the effects of the medication. It's slightly shifted. We will come back to our friend dexamphetamine shortly. So then, I'm going to pause from my ADHD medication for a little bit because in my journey, I then had the womb removed and the ovaries removed. So I was able to finally start taking HRT. This is my HRT bag. It's cute, right? Because if you got to do these things, let's have some little bits of joy. So many of you will be familiar with estrogel or estradiol. Estrogel is a hormone replacement therapy. I probably didn't need to ask the internet about that one. And it contains the female hormone estrogen. Again, could have probably not used my notes. I started literally as soon as I woke up from my operation with 2 pumps of this, just on my upper arms, more in like this area, because apparently the skin's thinner here. I very quickly went up to 4 pumps because I was still getting horrific night sweats and fatigue, but night sweats were probably the main thing. And so I went up to 4 pumps quite quickly. I think for a time after the op, when I still had my own hormones in the body, like I felt on top of the world, and I felt like I hadn't felt in a very long time. Or I felt like I felt 2 days after my period, which, ladies, it's just like, for me, like walking on air. So for a time, the best thing ever. But it did start to kind of not have the same effect, probably, I reckon, a month, 2 months afterwards. Night sweats didn't really come back, but more just like the impact of how I had felt initially when I first started taking it went. So just everything was hard, right? So all the things that I had been managing, the rage was back, the tears were back. Oh my God, the tears were back. The inability to kind of like focus or be productive or quell the noise in my head, the overwhelm, oh my God, the overwhelm, the burnout, the self-loathing, like it all just came back. And even on 4 pumps, like I was doing both arms, I was doing both legs. Sometimes I would do a leg or a belly. But it just came back, and I messed around with a couple of things. I would do 2 pumps in the morning or 2 pumps in the night to see if that kind of helped stagger out some of the impact of it. But then I didn't have enough in the day, so there was that. So look, this is still amazing. I will come back to it, but it's amazing. It just stopped being so amazing. In conjunction, I also started straight away after my operation on androfen. Now, not many doctors wanted to prescribe this straight off the bat. I think a lot of them want to do the hormone therapy and then add in testosterone if women need it. I, before the operation, had the fear that I was going to fall off a hormonal cliff. I know me. I know what I was like before my period. So I insisted on this. And one of my doctors, thank goodness, said that she felt that it was okay. So the internet says that androfen helps boost libido, increases energy levels, reduces fatigue, helps with overall vitality. Again, in my fear of the cliff diving, this felt like it was a good option. Enhances cognitive function, ADHD, and reduces persistent symptoms of brain fog, and then supports muscle and bone health. And as someone who has always been such a fan of moving my body, this felt important. So I started on 0.75, and you put it on with this little syringe. I might do it now because I need it. So, and it's like, chuck it down, remove the lid, but then you get this syringe and you pump it all the way in so there's no air clog, and hopefully you've got all the cream down to the bottom. So you pull it down. So yeah, initially I was on 0.75, but now I'm on 0.5. I'll tell you why shortly. And you just put it thigh somewhere and you rub it in. I am supposed to wash my hands afterwards though, and can't do that just yet. So if you see me touching my face, tell me to stop. Because you are supposed to alter where you put it. And this is why I do not take 0.75 anymore, because I started growing a lot of hair down here. And for someone with ADHD, I haven't got round to booking in a laser appointment just yet. It's taken me 47 years, still not there. So having to shave down there even more, it's just another admin job I don't have time or inclination for. So whether it helps sex drive, I don't know. I mean, God forbid what it would be like if I wasn't taking it. It's not bad right now, but it's not great. Again, it's hard to know. I would probably have to stop taking it to know how much benefit it's giving, which is probably why they don't give it to you straight off the bat. But I feel like it does help. Okay, I think we've only got 2 more to go. This one I actually got before I went into, before my operation. It is estriol under the brand name Ovestin, and this is for your nether regions. So the internet says, what does the internet say? No. Relief of symptoms occurring after menopause. Ease vaginal, vulval, and urinary symptoms. Say that fast. Urinary symptoms of menopause, such as vaginal dryness, burning, or itching. Which, if you are trying to have some time with your partner, and you do have some level of sex drive left, this is important. Basically, in my words, I would say it aims to keep your flower moist and spongy. And that's what you want from a flower, I think. But again, I'm not a doctor. That's just my opinion. So before the operation, though, I would use this and get thrush because I think I had too many microbiomes in my flower. So now, not a problem. I also received the hint. So this comes with a plunger, a little bit like when you have thrush and you get the cream and kind of insert it inside. Every doctor I've spoken to says do not use the plunger. use your finger and apply it to your flower once or twice, or like every other day for me anyway. So beautiful. My final medication. So this probably gets me up to the place where I went to the Menopause Hub in Randwick, which, if you do live in Sydney and in the eastern suburbs or anywhere near, is a brilliant place. One of the few places, unfortunately, that really does understand menopause and understands what you're going through and doesn't dismiss you and doesn't just look at your blood results and doesn't go, oh no, it's probably depression, it's probably XYZ. Takes you very seriously. It listens to you. You feel validated, which again, for me, after 2 years of feeling like I was gaslit by every doctor I saw, was so refreshing. So I went in 3 months after my hysterectomy and oophorectomy, and I was just crying. I was like, I cannot. I'm like, I am on the edge of a cliff and I am literally about to like jump because I cannot. I'm not sleeping. I am so depressed. I am so emotional. I cannot function. And he listened to me, the man. He's an incredible man. And again, I might do something on him separately because he's a bit of a hero. He's called Professor John Eden, and he set up this clinic. He listened to me. He talked about my periods. He talked about my history with hormones. And he said, do you know what? I think you have probably always had PMDD, or what was known as PMS. And the estrogen flushes you used to get after your period probably carried you through so that you didn't find it such an issue. But now this is the kind of straw that's broken the camel's back. And, you know, I couldn't have not had the operation. It's all part of my BRCA kind of cancer prevention. But, you know, I did go into the operation, which was my fear all along, not having had the right medical support to ensure that I stayed okay. And that, you know, like for me, that is what I want most for anyone going through this, whether it's perimenopause, whether it's surgical menopause or anything similar. My utter fear is that people don't have the support they need. So he gave me a referral to go see a psychiatrist who dealt with sex hormones and the impact on women's mood. So the Menopause Hub dealt with the HRT and the hormones, whereas I went to see a brilliant doctor called Dr. Tandon, or Professor Tandon, and he and his wife set up a clinic called Ponti Health, Ponti Health, and it's in Surrey Hills in Sydney. And it's a women's clinic, and it's set up to really understand women going through menopause, and thank God. But also they understand the intersection of menopause and ADHD, which is why I'm here in the first place, because it's a whole other thing in and of itself. And again, super validating. He listened to me. He tried to see the nuances in what I've been going through. And his main focus, but working in conjunction with the doctors in the Menopause Hub, was to manage my ADHD. Because what he felt was that if I couldn't manage my ADHD, then I can't sleep properly. My impulse control is rubbish. So I probably drink more. I make bad choices, or, you know, I don't choose the right foods to eat. I exercise less, or everything's just harder. So we're back to this, the dexamphetamine. He recommended that I take one of these tablets, and they are like, they're small and they're short acting. This is 5 milligrams at 4 o'clock in the afternoon to help soften off the kind of drop from the Vyvanse at the end of the day, because I would get to 5, 6 o'clock and I would reach for a glass of wine or a gin or chocolate or food or anything, because it is like a crash and all you want is dopamine. So if you put a packet of chips or crisps, cold chips, it's multicultural, in my hand, I will eat them and I probably won't come up for air. So one of these, 4 o'clock. Because of the ADHD, it took me a while to get into the habit, but I've set an alarm on my watch now, and that just helps taper off the end of the day and taper off the kind of desire to, jack up some dopamine in my body. And then the final piece of my current puzzle, I'm sure it's not the last piece of my puzzle, is clonidine. Brand name Catapress. So I definitely need my notes here. So this is actually a blood pressure medication. So it wasn't initially used for ADHD, but they discovered that it actually has some benefits. So it treats high blood pressure by decreasing your heart rate and relaxing the blood vessels so that blood can flow more easily through the body. Note, not me. Clonidine extended release tablets may treat ADHD by affecting the part of the brain that controls attention and impulsivity. So I take 1 tablet in the morning and half a tablet at night. And what it has done is just create this happy kind of contentedness where I don't have the huge range of emotions. So what the psychiatrist had said to me is that I don't think you're depressed. I think you're struggling with impulse control and emotional dysregulation, which emotional dysregulation in menopause is not uncommon, but it's also not uncommon in ADHD and a lifetime. So I don't know, a lot of late diagnosed ADHD women, if you can look back on your life, like my emotional dysregulation was appalling, and I just didn't know. I didn't know that it was part of this. I thought it was a massive failure in my character. It was always too emotional. You're too, like my mum would say, she'd go, you go from 0 to 60 in like half a millisecond, like calm until you're not. This has a similar effect on me that the antidepressants have had, where it's just, there's a ceiling on my emotional peak. So I don't get to the point where I'm screaming holy hell at the kids because they haven't listened to me, which they're neurodiverse kids, they don't listen to me a lot. Or I get so frustrated with something, I might just burst into tears. Or the worst one recently, someone might say something to me in a meeting and I'm fine during the meeting, but I'll go outside and I'll cry. Like, what? So that, I take half a tablet before sleep, and it has helped with the sleep, absolutely. Like I'm not in that really light sleep where I feel like I haven't slept, or I'm not waking up at 3 and just staying awake for 2-3 hours, or sometimes just not going back to sleep. It's really like, even if I do wake up, which I'm a 46-year-old woman, I generally wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the toilet. The difference is I can go back to sleep. So, and then probably the last thing with it, it has given me enough headspace to make the good choices, like, better choice. I am meal prepping, for instance, or I can go, I probably should meditate today because meditating makes me feel so much better in life. So look at this. This is so depressing. This is my current, if I can stack them so I don't move it. This is my current medication. regime. As I said, I am not a doctor, but if anything I have talked about, oh no, that's not going to work, oops, has helped today, just go talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor, ask them about it. They've got to listen to you, right? It might not be right for you. There might be many reasons why it is not right for you. But at least if you ask a question, they can only say no, right? And they can tell you why. So good luck. Find yourself a good doctor. Find yourself a good doctor that understands menopause and ADHD. It is such a very different and very unique situation. You need someone who understands, and you need someone who understands better than you too. So it's kind of why I'm here, because I just really want people who are in this situation to go find people who understand how to help people in this situation. So we'll talk in more detail about some of these things at another time, but I hope that may have helped. If you have had your own journey with the many meds, please tell me about it, because I'd love to hear. So lovely to see you. Thank you for listening. I'll add some notes in the description, and I'll see you soon.